Hi, I'm Ashley Cotter-Cairns from sellmycomicbooks.com, and this is the latest episode of This or That. This is a series where we're trying to prevent collectors and investors from making big, expensive mistakes, and we're going to present alternative ideas for where to put your money into comic books. So without further ado, this or that. Our next topic is one that's pretty dear to my heart. It's Incredible Hulk 181. It's the first appearance of Wolverine. It was published in 1975, so it's getting old. Like that's over 40 years old, and these things have huge value simply because of the demand for them. Every collector who was interested in Marvel and Wolverine wants to have a copy of his first full appearance. So this book has just rocketed in value. It keeps going up. Seems to be no end in sight to that. And what that subsequently has done is books that no one else would dream of thinking they were valuable are now coming to market, and people are snapping them up. Now, there are a couple of things to consider about Incredible Hulk 181. The first is that an interior page of this book has what's called a Marvel value stamp. It's so well known on this issue that if you send a book to CGC that has the Marvel value stamp missing, it will get a green label and it'll be called qualified. Qualified means it is this grade except for the fact that there's the Marvel value stamp missing. Anyway, the point is there'll be a piece of a page cut out, and sometimes people are very neat about it. They actually cut round it with X-Acto knife or something, and so there's a square neatly cut out of the middle of the page. But more often they cut from the edge, which is what I probably would have done when I was 10, and cut around the stamp, and so you have a cut from the edge of the page or the bottom of the page or the top of the page, and then a square missing. Even those books with the missing value stamps have value these days, just because people so desperately want to have a copy of Incredible Hulk 181. And the demand for this book is so intense that dogs are being sold on eBay, and they are changing hands for serious money. We're not talking about $25 or $50 here. We're talking hundreds of dollars for books that look basically like beaters that have just been found at the bottom of someone's stack of reading in the bathroom. I mean, it's crazy what people are paying for this book. Now, when I looked for a really funny example and an example of what not to do, I found a PGX 2.0. So PGX is a grading company which does not have a very good reputation. I'm going to just say allegedly in case of lawyers, but allegedly their early days there were people who sent books in and they either didn't get the grade they wanted, or restoration was completely missed by the grader, or the book in the holder when it came back wasn't the same as the one that was sent in. Allegedly, there were some big legal problems over that, and now, just generally speaking, people avoid PGX. If you don't know what you're doing, do not put big money into any book, but especially not a PGX graded book, because allegedly there are problems with PGX's grading, and so therefore the market will not bear the prices for PGX books that other grading companies like CGC and CBCS books will fetch. So if you had two books side by side, identical grades, one was PGX, one was CGC, the CGC book would definitely sell for much more because people trust CGC more. There's no allegedly thing about it. That's just a fact. So when you're looking to buy a book, it's really important to realize that. And you might see a PGX book and go, wow, that's a good price. Well, there's a reason why it's a good price. This is a very small sample size. We had a low-grade Action Comics, I think it was 36, something like that. It was PGX 2.0. Sean cracked it out, sent to CGC, it came back a 1.0. So you can see the grading companies have different standards, and people have more faith in CGC and CBCS than PGX. So when you're buying books, don't be tempted by the cheaper prices of PGX, because it may not bear fruit in the future when you come to sell. So what I found was this PGX book. It's a 2.0. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, it's the same grade as CGC would give it. It's a 2.0. A 2.0 is a pretty rough book. Most people would look at a 2.0 that wasn't in the holder and go, God, this is a piece of crap, right? It's still worth certifying a 2.0 of Hulk 181, believe it or not. So I found this 2.0 and the price was $717 in the PGX holder. Then I did a little bit of digging and found that a CGC 3.5 sold for $720. So not only is the grade higher, the company is more reputable, and I mean, we just want the higher grade book anyway, but I mean, just to look at them side by side, it's night and day. I mean, the 3.5 looks near mint compared to the 2.0, and wait till you see some of the other stuff I found. But the point of this exercise is to show you that when a book is super hot like Hulk 181, you have to be careful. There's so much activity that stuff that shouldn't justify selling for a very high price often does, and stuff that should sell for more sometimes can slip through the gap. So first, look for a grading company that you trust. Second, pick the grade that you can afford and do your research and make sure that you know the average price for that grade. Third, just bid your maximum bid on the nicest one you can find in the grade that you want and wait. It's sort of similar to New Mutants 98. There are so many of these books on the market that, yes, you will miss plenty of them. In fact, you'll probably miss more Hulk 181s, but eventually, at your price, at your grade, you'll get the book. So don't be in too much of a rush. Don't pull the trigger on a buy it now unless the price is absolutely perfect. Just buy at auction and wait for the best deal. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the different grading companies. I've already discussed PGX. I don't want to go there anymore. CGC has been around since around, I think, the 99 or 98 or 2000 or 2001. It's sort of turn of the century, and it's well established, very reputable. People do have question marks about their consistency, but I think that's going to be true of all grading companies. There's always human error, and sometimes I think they have periods when they're more or less strict about grades they give. Now, CBCS is a newcomer. It's been around for 2 or 3 years, and it was founded by the person who originally founded CGC, so it has extremely high reputation. I personally don't like the look of their label, but that's just an aesthetic thing. Apart from that, the case is actually considered to be a better case. It protects the book differently to the original CGC holder, and collectors and dealers really, really like the CBCS service and the fact that the cases are actually really nice. I wish they'd changed their label, but whatever. Now, the interesting thing is, even though CBCS has a great reputation, books in a CBCS holder will sell for about 10 to 12% less than a CGC of the exact same grade. There are a couple of theories about why this is. I think it's just a matter of market awareness. We don't have enough history of CBCS in the marketplace. There isn't the volume of their books out there, though they are kind of getting more and more momentum. But it's going to take them some years to really get established, I think. And some of the online reporting services don't feature CBCS books, which is a shame. So all those factors would just keep the prices of CBCS books down a little bit. Sean and I are planning an experiment where we take books in CBCS holders, books in CGC holders, and books in PGX holders, and we kind of crack them and send them to the other companies and see what happens with the grades. This has been done before if you look on YouTube, do a little bit of research, but it hasn't been done in a scientific way. It's been done kind of randomly. So we want to do it a bit more scientifically with a much larger sample size and see what happens, and we'll report back in the future this or that. Now, returning to Hulk 181, I hope it's pretty obvious why you'd rather have the CGC 3.5 than a PGX 2.0, but there are plenty of copies of this book out there. It's not rare. It's not even rare in 9.8. There are lots of those out there. So whatever your grade and whatever your price point, stick to it. Don't get sort of rushed into buying this. Remember, you're going to own this book for a while, so you have plenty of time and plenty of choice. There's no urgency. Just look for the right example at the right price. Now I'm going to show you a couple of examples of why this is so important, why this lesson needs to get into your head. there are people out there who just don't have a clue, and they are in a hurry. Clearly, they don't have standards. They don't understand the difference between a complete book or a book that's missing its value stamp. They will pay insanely high prices. I think the entry level for this book now in zero point 0.5 is about $500. $500. Did you hear that? $500. That's serious money. $500 is a reasonably large investment for someone in a comic book. But why would you spend $500 on a 0.5, which really looks like a rag, when you can invest a couple of $100 more and get a 3.5? I mean, it's a no-brainer to me. I don't understand why anyone would make that mistake, and I don't want you to make that mistake, more to the point. So if you're watching this video and you only take one thing away, it is invest a tiny bit more for a much better book, because long-term that strategy is going to be fantastic for you. By buying the cheapest example you can get, you're going to end up with something that other people will reject just because of condition. And so you're holding yourself back. You're restricting your future return on investment by buying the worst you can get. Now, there's another element to this hugely hot market, and that is that raw copies, that is copies that are not inside CGC or PGX or CBCS holders, are going for ridiculous prices too. Two of my favorites. The first one, it's not just missing a value stamp, it's missing the entire page where the value stamp was. That's actually quite common. People would just cut the page out and then neatly cut the stamp off the page. So this copy, I would probably grade this copy at 2.5 if it had the page, because actually the cover is completely detached. And you know, a book with a detached cover is usually, it will max out at a 3.0. Even a perfectly nice looking copy with a totally detached cover is probably only going to get a grade of 3.0. This one's incomplete as well because it's missing that page. Somebody paid $420 for that book. $420 for a 2.5, incomplete, missing a page. That's just crazy. Like, for another $300, they could have had the 3.5 in the CGC case. Even then, at least they bought a book that looks kind of decent, because the next example is just so funny. I find it really funny. This is complete. This copy, this beautiful copy, is complete. I would call this, I'll be generous and call it a 1.0, but it might actually be a 0.5 with all that staining or whatever it is on the Hulk title, all that creasing at the top there. I'm not too sure if the cover's attached or not. It's probably a 1.0. Let's face it. But this is a 70s book, really, a 1.0 of a 70s book. It's insane to me that someone would pay almost $600. I'm just going to say that slowly. $586 for this piece of crap. Now, it's not as if they bought it for $50. If the difference between the 3.5 CGC example and this was, say, $500 or $600, I'd understand. Let's say this book was $100. Well, it makes total sense to me to pay $100 for something that you don't want to spend $720 buying a CGC example when you could buy this raw copy that's in rough shape for $100. But no, they paid almost $600. That is like 80% of the cost of the 3.5. Even if you say, oh, it's my reader copy, well, buy the 3.5, crack it out of the case and keep it nice and neatly in a bag and board, and that thing's going to have much more value in the future. But basically, you're flushing your money down the toilet when you buy something this rough, because in future, when someone comes to look at your collection, yes, they're going to want it, but they aren't going to want to pay that kind of money for it. We're in a hot market right now with Hulk 181, so you have to be careful in a hot market. Just as you see in real estate, sometimes there's a bubble in a particular region. I'm going to take Vancouver or Toronto as examples. People buying at crazy, crazy prices may not get their money out in the future, because a market can never continue to keep going up and keep going up. Eventually, new buyers will get priced out of something and they'll look somewhere else. So remember, when you spend over 500 bucks on a comic book, it's an investment. I don't care whether you think investing is a dirty word in the comic book industry. To me, any collectible is some kind of investment, and you need an exit strategy. Your exit strategy with a CGC 3.5 is way easier than your exit strategy with a rough 1.0 uncertified copy. So please take this away, spend a bit more, get a nicer book. Thank you so much for watching This or That. There'll be another episode in the next week or two. As ever, please, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a like. Please give me a comment under the video. Please share this video. That would be the biggest takeaway. Please just copy the URL at the top of the screen, share it on Facebook, share it on YouTube, share it to your friends, email the link, whatever it takes. Let's just get this out there because I want to help as many people as I can. And my email address is on the screen now. I'd love to hear your feedback directly. Please send me an email. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, other social media under Sell My Comic Books. We list hundreds and hundreds of books for sale on eBay daily at Sell My Comic Books. And check out the website, sellmycomicbooks.com. Thanks very much, and until next time, this or that.